You may know John Wick as the unstoppable Baba Yaga, but did you know his world of assassins, continental hotels, and high-stakes contracts extends far beyond his own story? In the movie Ballerina, Eve, whose tragic past and quest for vengeance lead her directly into the path of the legendary hitman himself. The movie opens with a young, carefree Eve practicing ballet with her father Javier. He remarks on her resemblance to her sister, but the comment dampens her mood as she can't remember her. He gifts her a ballerina music box, a cherished possession that will soon become a haunting reminder of her tragic past. That night, their idyllic life is shattered. Assassins ambush their secluded home, emerging from the water to take down guards and storm the house. Javier, a skilled and prepared operative, immediately springs into action. He intercepts an assassin, then secures Eve in a hiding place before throwing a smoke canister to face the relentless onslaught. Though he fights bravely, his one-man stand against many is an unwinnable battle, and he is eventually subdued. A man, the Chancellor of the cult, enters the house and confronts Javier. He accuses him of a grave betrayal, leaving the cult and taking their daughter, his wife, who later died as a result. He demands to know where Eve is, but Javier only spits at him. Unmoved, the Chancellor offers a twisted, cruel choice: a single-bullet pistol. If Javier shoots himself, Eve will be safe. If he shoots the Chancellor, they both die. As Javier puts the pistol to his head, Eve cries out from her hiding spot. The distraction allows Javier to attack. The Chancellor flees as Javier fights to protect his daughter. Eve, emerging from her hiding place, shoots an assassin who is about to stab Javier in the eye. He calms her with a music box, and they escape as the house explodes. Javier, severely wounded, collapses at the ocean's edge, apologizing for the life she will now have before he passes away. A man named Winston approaches the grieving girl, telling her that her father was part of the Ruska Roma, a criminal organization. Left with no other choice, Eve accepts his offer to take her to them. She is accepted by the director, who gives her a compassionate warning: "Those men took your past. Don't let them steal your future." Winston gives her a coin, promising to always be at her service. Another member, Noi, explains her father was a Kikimora, a vengeful but protective spirit. 12 years later, Eve, now a young woman, struggles with her ballet, though she excels at lethal combat training. She lacks the killer instinct. After a pep talk from Noi, Eve embraces her training. She discovers her friend Tatiana is gone, the director coldly stating she lacked the killer instinct and was put on a different path. Eve completes her final training, making her first kill since childhood. Later, she sees a man, John Wick, brought to the director and recognizes him as the legendary Baba Yaga. He tells her she still has a choice to leave, but she is determined to stay. For her first official assignment, Eve is given a gun with rubber bullets to protect a young woman named Katla Park. At a club, Eve fights off armed men who try to kidnap Katla, demonstrating her brutal efficiency and taking down every man who stands in her way. She secures Katla, and after a brief moment of hesitation, Katla follows her out. For her success, Eve is given a tattoo, officially making her a Kikimora of the Ruska Roma. After completing another assignment, Eve is ambushed on the road. After a brutal, close-quarters fight, she kills her attacker and notices a familiar mark on his hand, the same mark from the men who murdered her father. Enraged, she takes the severed hand to the director, who reveals she knows the people with the mark. She explains that they are a cult who operate outside the rules and have an old pact of non-interference with the Ruska Roma. Eve is furious, questioning why a group with no rules is being appeased and why they would kidnap a child. Despite the director's warnings, Eve is determined to seek vengeance. She goes to the Continental Hotel to see Winston. He tries to dissuade her, referencing the myth of the Garden of Eden and the danger of knowing too much, but Eve's resolve is firm. Winston reveals that the cult kills for sport and that a man with the mark, Daniel Pine, is currently staying at their hotel in Prague. Eve goes to Prague and finds a young girl, Ella, with Pine. Pine, who is Ella's father, confirms he and the girl are being hunted by the cult. Assassins double Pine's bounty, and he tells Eve that the cult has surrounded the hotel, using him as bait. Assassins break in. Pine fights to protect Ella, with Eve joining the fight. In an elevator, Pine tells her the cult is after Ella. He promises to tell Eve where to find them if she helps get Ella to safety. Eve agrees. She escapes with Ella, but is struck on the head by Lena, a mercenary, who takes the girl. Eve later seeks a weapons dealer, who, after an ambush and a brutal fight, tells her where the cult is known to gather, deep in the mountains. She drives there, ignoring a warning call from the director to return. Eve stops at a shop, where she is ambushed again, fighting and killing multiple assassins. The Chancellor is notified, and he orders full protocols, unleashing all citizens to hunt her down. She is overwhelmed and knocked out by Lena, who sees her Ruska Roma tattoo. The Chancellor confronts a now-conscious Eve, revealing that he and the director had a detailed pact. He states that he was only trying to save Ella from Pine, his son, who had betrayed the family. Eve tells him his men murdered her father. The Chancellor is surprised and reveals to Lena that Eve is her sister. Shocked, Lena sees the assassins take aim at Eve and allows her to escape. Eve confronts Lena, who confirms they are sisters. Lena says their father betrayed the family, but Eve argues that he was just trying to give her a normal life. An assassin reports their location, and the Chancellor orders them to kill both sisters. Lena realizes the Chancellor has betrayed her, too, and they are both hit by explosions. Eve crawls to a mortally wounded Lena, who confesses she missed her sister before dying. Eve communicates with the Chancellor over the radio, telling him it will only be over when he is dead. The director, learning of Eve's betrayal, declares war and sends someone capable to deal with the problem, John Wick. John Wick confronts Eve and tells her she still has a choice, but she refuses to back down. They fight, and he eventually pins her, holding a knife to her throat. He tells her to leave, but she insists on finishing what she started. John Wick relents, giving her a specific amount of time to act before facing the consequences. Eve ambushes the cult, setting off explosions and taking down assassins with machine guns, grenades, and a blowtorch. The Chancellor orders his top assassin, Dex, to destroy her. Eve and Dex engage in a fiery battle until John Wick intervenes, shooting Dex and disabling the loudspeakers. Eve locates the Chancellor's car with Ella inside and forces it to a stop. The Chancellor emerges, claiming that the system is eternal and that she was always meant to be one of them. Eve, looking at Ella, shoots the Chancellor dead. John Wick chooses not to shoot her, and Eve takes Ella away. Ella is returned to a now-alive Pine. Winston warns Eve that while she has cut off the head of the snake, the body remains. An alert is sent out. A $5 million bounty has been placed on her head, signifying that the war is far from over. And the movie concludes.